Here, here is the circuit for a simple 2 to 4 binary decoder. So this is our top module. So here is our top module. We have our enable signal, and we have this will be our switch. So if we look at the constraint file, inputs are enable and the two switches, so A0 and A1, and we have four LEDs. So that gives us basically two inputs, not really including the enable. So what the enable does is if the enable is 0, then we're not going to be outputting anything. All the LEDs will be 0 regardless of whatever our inputs A are. And if the enable is 1, then we'll take into account the inputs of A0 and A1. And so for the binary decoder, we're basically decoding the two inputs, and they're going to show up on the four LEDs. So let's go back to the constraint file real quick. So let's say A is 0, 0. Then we want all right, and let's say the enable is on. So when A is 0, 0, the LEDs are all going to be 0. And then when A is 0, 1, right? When A is 0, 1, then we want the first LED to turn on, the rest to remain off. And then when A is 1, 0, which is 2, we want the second LED. And hold on. Actually, no, that's wrong. So when the enable is on and A is 0, 0, right? We want the first LED 0 to turn on. Yes, that's right. And then when A is 0, 1, we want the second LED to turn on. When A is 1, 0, we want the LED in the third position, right, to turn on. And when the input A is 1, 1, we want the last LED to turn on. So that would be the fourth position. And that's exactly what this code basically shows. So we're assigning values to all of the LEDs. So enable has to be on for any of the LEDs to turn on. Oh, let me undo that. And so as you can see, the first LED will be controlled by um, by the input A when it's 0, 0. Second LED, it will be controlled by the input when it's, yes, 0, 1. That's right. Third LED would be 1, 0. Fourth LED would be 1, 1. Now let's take a look at our test bench. Okay, so here's our test bench. We basically switch the inputs become register, the outputs become a wire. We're going to instantiate the device under test, so we're calling our top module to 4-bit binary decoder, right? And we're passing in our test values. Okay, then we're going to generate the test vectors using the initial block. And this piece of code here just lets us monitor anytime these variables change, which we're interested in, right? And this is just going to keep everything neat. And so we're going to start. So first we're going to test if the enable works. So when the enable is 0, all the LEDs should be off. And we're basically, we're passing 0, 0 all the way to 1, 1. So that's 0 to 3. And then now we want to test if everything works as such. Our enable is going to remain 1. It's going to be high all the way. And then A is going to switch from 0, 0 to 1, 1, or 0 to 3. Let's take a look at our waveform. So this is basically, let's take a look at the test bench. Okay, so yes. So we're waiting, say, about 20 microseconds, I believe. Let's go back to the waveform. So we don't know, that's why it's X or it's red. Oh, where did it go? Yeesh. Where's my waveform? Right here. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so this is just the initial waiting block, right? Because we wait, say, 20 seconds and we don't know what test it, to A, enable what they are. So that's why it's just showing up as X. So after that initial 20, it's 20 nanoseconds. Basically, it's all zeros, right? We're passing in enable as 0, we're passing in test A as 0, output should be 0. And so it's going to remain that way, as you can see, right? Enable is low, so it doesn't really matter what the input on the switches are. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Our enable's high, right? And A here is 0, right? And that means the LED, the first LED is going to turn on. And then when A is 1, so A is 0, 1, second LED is going to turn on, as you can see here. And then when A is 2, the third LED is going to turn on. And when A is 4, well, A goes from 0 to 3, right? So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So when A is 2, it's going to be the third position of the LEDs on and the last position of the LEDs on when A is 3. Okay, so that's, yeah, thank you. That's pretty much everything.